This is WIN News.
Tonight, one man has died and 4 others rushed to hospital after horror crash. Fears a carbon tax will push house prices up. And one of Mackay's major intersections in line for a much-needed upgrade. Good evening, I'm Samantha Heathwood. One man has died and 4 others were rushed to hospital after a horror car crash in Mackay this morning. Police say the incident is a timely reminder and are pleading with motorists to always drive to the road conditions. Meantime, a 44-year-old woman is in a stable condition in the Mackay Base Hospital following a car accident on Peel Street this afternoon. The woman was trapped in her vehicle and had to be freed by the Queensland Fire and Rescue Service. The 2 cars collided at Albert and Peel Streets. Ambulance officers placed the woman's neck in a brace before she was taken to hospital. Both cars were severely damaged and had to be towed. An assault on a local paramedic has sparked calls from the Queensland Police Union for mandatory sentencing for those who attack emergency service workers. The altercation occurred when the ambulance officer was helping a victim of a car accident in Serena. An airman accused of stabbing a man in Mount Pleasant last week has received bail. The man paid $20,000 in surety to be released. It's alleged he stabbed a 41-year-old man in Mount Pleasant last Wednesday. The 21-year-old faces strict bail conditions. The family of honeymoon dive victim Tina Watson is appealing to a US court for control of her body and personal belongings. Gabe Watson took possession of his former bride's Jeep, furnishings, clothes and wedding presents after her drowning death on the Great Barrier Reef in 2003. 2 years later, her body was moved to his family's plot in Birmingham. Her father is appealing to the courts to let him return his daughter's body to its original grave for a proper burial. The Housing Industry Association says if a carbon tax is introduced, the cost of a house could increase by $6,000. It says the price rise could lead to a severe shortage of housing in the future. One of Mackay's major intersections is set for a fix-up when the next instalment of the federal government's Bruce Highway safety package gets underway. Mackay Regional Council says it's about time. After the break, experts warning people of the dangers of diabetic vision loss and teaching locals how to avoid the flu this season. Welcome back, you're watching WIN News. Locals are being prompted to have their annual flu injections as the region suffers a spike in influenza cases. The Mackay Base Hospital has noticed a rise in the number of those suffering from the virus. They say the only way to prevent it is to receive the jab. Meanwhile, health experts are warning people of the dangers of diabetic vision loss as Diabetes Week gets underway. Diabetes Australia and Vision 2020 have teamed up, launching a campaign asking people to not be blind to the risks. Just when you thought all the celebrations were over from the Ukulele Festival, think again. Some of the instruments used in this month's world record attempt have been auctioned off to raise money for the Harold House charity. 34 ukuleles were sold at an auction over the weekend. Hayley Gillespie's Aboriginal-inspired uke attracted the highest bid of $500.
I'm very proud. No, it's great because, yeah, Harold's House is just a fantastic charity, so I'm really, really pleased that, you know, that generous gentleman came along.
A total of $3,500 has been raised from the auction. Coming up in sport, 3 wins on the road for the Meteors and Meteorettes, and playing a man down doesn't deter the Miners.
This sports report brought to you by Souths Leagues Club. Eat, play and celebrate at Souths.
Welcome back to WIN Sport. The Meteors and Meteorettes have returned from the toughest road trip of the season without suffering a loss. The 3 victories lifts the Meteors into 2nd place, while the Meteorettes are sharing top spot with Gladstone. The Whitsunday Miners have put themselves into finals contention with a 3-1 victory over the Gold Coast in Moranbah. The Miners did it the hard way with only 10 players for much of the game.
Although they defeated the Gold Coast 2-1 in their round 7 clash, the Miners were wary of the team sitting just 1 point behind them on the competition ladder. Things started disastrously for the home side at Moranbah. First a goal, then Jamie Hatch received his marching orders.
Yeah, we did do it tough. Obviously, not the ideal circumstances to have a controversial goal scored against us and then have a player sent off a minute late. It was not great.
Despite being a player down and a goal behind, Graham Harvey wasn't about to concede. He was forced to make some crucial decisions during the main break.
At half-time, the boys responded very well to the slight changes in tactics that I asked them to do, and second half was unbelievable, to be honest. Leading the way was veteran striker Troy Mundy, who had a big game in front of goal.
Solid in the air and strong on the ball, held the ball up really well. Our defence played really well. Corey Hooper and Brett Neve.
A second half double to Jordan Court put the Miners in front. 2 minutes from time, replacement Aaron Craig found the back of the net to seal the 3-1 victory.
2 points behind FNQ, which is sitting third. So hopefully, we've got a couple of hard games the next couple of weeks, and then we've got Bundy last game at home.
The Miners returned to Harrop Park on Saturday night to face league leaders the Sunshine Coast. Pat Hazel, WIN News.
Cowboys centre Willie Tonga has denied he's in contract negotiations with the Parramatta Eels, but says he will keep his options open as he looks to secure his playing future. The Maroon star left the field injured in the Cowboys' gutsy 10-point win over Newcastle last night, where former knight Corey Patterson enjoyed a stellar club debut. And Brent Tate will make his long-awaited club debut this Saturday night with the Test Centre today named to take on the West Tigers. Tate's part of a 20-man squad for the match, with fellow centre Willie Tonga facing a fitness test on his corked thigh later in the week. Aaron Payne has been named back after a broken finger, while Tarek Sims returns from suspension on a 7-man bench that will be cut by the weekend. Meanwhile, the Cowboys under-20s have jumped into second spot on the Toyota Cup ladder following a huge win over the Knights. Kyle Felt notched a personal tally of 26 points as the visitors romped to a 24-point win last night. And that's all in Sports Day with WIN News. After the break, all the latest weather, and we'll preview the final Harry Potter film. It'll be released at midnight.
Everyone, well, it was a slightly cooler morning for the Mackay region, but it certainly warmed up to be a pleasant winter's day. Spare a thought for the folks down south though. Toowoomba's apparent temperature, what it actually felt like, didn't get above 4 degrees all day. It's no wonder many of them migrate north for the cooler months. We can expect similar conditions tomorrow, but of course I'll have all the details later. First up, let's have a look at the day's temperatures. And Clermont reached a top of 21 degrees. There were reports of frost at Eton this morning, dropping to 3.4 degrees. It dropped to 5 degrees at St Lawrence. Moranbah range between 5 and 22, down to 8 in Mackay before reaching a top of 18, although it was 2 degrees cooler this morning at the Mackay airport. Hamilton Island reached 19 degrees and Bowen ranged between 7 and 23. Currently outside, we're sitting on 15 degrees, humidity is 60%, and the winds are south-southeasterly at 10 kilometres per hour. On the satellite image, there's a large high in the Great Australian Bight, and it's been persisting over the last several days and is likely to continue until at least Thursday. It's brought dry conditions and the frosty mornings in the southeast corner of the state. To the synoptic chart now, and an upper system in Western Australia is likely to cross into Queensland by the end of the week and should produce some rain over southeast Queensland. And good news for those shivering through the morning temperatures, we should get a reprieve with the minimum temps set to increase thanks to the cloud cover. So tomorrow across the Central Coast and Whitsunday's district, expect isolated late showers about the exposed coast and inlands, but fine over the remainder. Light to moderate southwest to southeasterly winds tending east during the afternoon, with winds fresh at times about the coast. Mackay dropping to 9 and warming up to 21 degrees. Moving west, the forecast for the Central Highlands and Coalfields district, expect fine conditions with early morning frost areas, with light to moderate southeast to easterly winds dropping to 5 in Moranbah and warming up to a beautiful 23 degrees. For the boating fraternity, looking at today's maritime observations at 3 p.m, and Hardy Reef had a south-southeasterly at 16 knots, southeasterly at 10 knots for Hamilton Island, and Mackay had a southeasterly at 8 knots. For the coastal water forecast from Bowen to St Lawrence, expect south-southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, easing by the evening though, seas to 1.7 metres also easing. High tide for Mackay Outer Harbour tomorrow just after 8:30 in the morning, and the lows expected at 2:49 on the dot. Now for the 7-day outlook, and a top of 21 degrees tomorrow, looking like a picture-perfect winter's day on Wednesday with a top of 22 degrees, dropping to 13. 14 to 21, as I mentioned earlier, those showers are expected to increase on Thursday and Friday. Top of 22 on Friday, dropping to 15 on Saturday, and warming up to a beautiful 21 and similar conditions on Sunday. And finally, sunrise over Mackay tomorrow at 6:41 and sunset just after 5:30. And that wraps up the weather. Now it's back to you, Sam.
Thanks, Kathryn. The countdown has begun for part 2 of the 7th Harry Potter movie, The Deathly Hallows. After a decade of smashing box office records, tonight's premiere screening will see tens of thousands piling through cinema doors. Join us tomorrow night for the best hour of news in the country from 6 p.m. From all the team, have a good night.
This has been a WIN News presentation from WIN Television, Australia's largest commercial television network.